Hi everybody, I'm Zilla Blitz and welcome. Today we're going to take a look at French and Indian War Solitaire from Worthington Publishing. In this game you can take charge of either the French or the British forces in 1755 and try to lead them to victory in the French and Indian War. Now this is one of a growing set of travel compact games from Worthington Publishing, playable in under a half an hour with a small rule set. In this video we're going to take a look at the components, then we're going to take charge of the French and see if we can change history and lead the French to victory in the French and Indian War. Let's get started. So here's everything that comes in the French and Indian War Solitaire box. A quick reminder as well, as with other games in the series, this is an 1.5 inch high, 7 inches by 4 inches. So it's a tiny box. You can fit this in a big pocket. They're designed to be taken with you on travel. Now, a quick overview of the game. This is a solitaire game. Playable, it's an easy to learn game, very fast. The rules are going to take 5 to 10 minutes to pick up. Play it in under a half an hour. Now this is a point-to-point game. So you're going to be playing along points in various areas on the map. And unlike other games in the series, which are only playable from one side, this game allows you to play from either the French or the British side. So two different perspectives on the war. Here's our rulebook, 12 pages, very easy to digest. It takes about maybe 10 minutes or so to go through, some graphics to help you out. Very well explained and easy and clear to understand, with some examples of play in them as well. Here's our counter set. Up top we've got the red counters for the circular counters for the British, and down here the counters for the French. In the middle we've got the counters for the Native American tribes, as the French and the British are trying to gain these as allies to increase your chances at succeeding at the campaign. Now both sides are slightly asymmetrical. They are going to play a little bit differently. We'll see how that works as we get into gameplay. It's also important to note that they are double-sided, so there are modifiers that are going to apply when one side has been flipped over to its weakened state or its enhanced state, depending upon what the action is. Here are our two player aids. The top one here is the sequence of play player aid. It's single-sided. The bottom one here is the AI player aid, which allows one side for the French and one side for the British. Now, the sequence of play player aid is very handy. You can track your action points down here if you need to, but once you've gone through the rules, you'll be able to follow this through to be able to execute the game pretty easily. And generally, as the way the game works is at the start of play, you're going to determine how many action points you have, and then you're going to conduct your actions. Once you've finished your actions, you're going to roll a die. If you're playing against the British, you would use this British action side. You're going to get a 1 to a 6, and you're going to get a set of instructions to tell you what the British does on that turn. And then you basically just follow the instructions, and they can vary depending on whether it's an even or an odd turn. The other side, of course, is if you're playing against the French as the British, this is what the French will do. And so basically the game goes back and forth, going through the 20 turns. You're going through your sequence of play, determining what the French or British do until one side achieves victory or not. Next we come to our game map. I also want to mention there is a 6-sided die to execute all the combat in the game. This is a 14-inch on the horizontal by 7 inches high game map, which does fit very nicely onto an airplane tray. And basically you're going to be placing the counters up here and moving them back and forth depending upon how the war goes. Down the bottom we have a turn track. The game starts in 1755 and ends in 1760. So there's a variable number of turns, usually 3 or 4 turns per year, that are going to be executed as you go through this 6-year campaign for a total of 20 turns in the game. Let's start our playthrough now. We're going to take the role of the French, going against the British in the French and Indian War. And before we start the action, let's give a little bit of context in 3 different places. First, what are we looking at? Second, let's take a look at what we're trying to accomplish and how we win the war. And then third, let's take a look at the actions we can take and how they work. First up, what are we looking at? Well, we've got the 3 forces really on the map here. The French forces are blue and their home bases are to the top of the map, the north. British forces are red and their home bases down here, Alexandria, Philadelphia, New York, and Boston are to the south of the map. The green forces are the Indian forces, and the map is divided up into 4 regions: the Ohio region, the Mohawk region, the Hudson region, and then the Atlantic region. Indian forces are active in the Ohio region, Mohawk region, and Hudson region. And the way they work in the game is they can be either French allied, neutral, or British allied. At the start of the battle, Ohio and the Hudson regions start French allied, and the Mohawks start neutral allied. And we'll talk about what this means when they get into attacks, depending upon how that alliance works. The Atlantic region has no Indian activity, but there is naval activity, and it starts under British control. And basically the way the game works is both sides are going to be attacking and defending along these lines here. So we can see up north here, from Fort Niagara all the way down to Alexandria, and then Fort Frontenac down all the way down to Philadelphia, and etc. So forces will stay in these particular regions. Now, let's talk about what we're trying to do. So as the French, as the human player, you win the war immediately if at the end of any turn you control 3 of the 4 cities, or the 4 flag cities of your opponent. So if we can get Alexandria, Philadelphia, New York, and Boston, any combination of those 3, we win. We lose immediately is if at the end of a turn, the British forces occupy 2 of our regions up at the north, the flagged regions up at the top. If neither side accomplishes that by the end of turn 20, then you go to victory points, which is a combination of flagged city controls, these fortified city controls, and then who is allied with the Indian forces, and then who controls the ocean. And we'll talk more about that if we get to that point, if there is no case of automatic victory. Now, in our turn, we're going to get a certain number of actions that are designated down the bottom of the board here. So we can see in this first year, 1755, the French are going to get 3 action points. Every time we have an action, we can do one of 5 things. We can either attack an adjacent British force, we could attack the Atlantic control marker, which is basically a die roll of 4, 5, or 6. You're successful and it will flip to French control. The third thing we can do is attempt to change the status of an Indian nation. We make a roll. If we get a 4, 5, or 6, it shifts 1 space towards us. So for example, if we were to try to influence the Mohawk tribe and we get a 4, 5, or 6, they would become French allied. Now there are conditions that they're going to shift to British control and we will lose control of them. Now at various points in the conflict, our militia will get depleted, which means it will be a -1 die roll modifier on defense if that happens. And in order to, we can take an action to automatically replenish them. Likewise, we're going to start out the war by placing our armed forces, our regular army. They can go out of supply. We can use an action to get them back into supply. So those are the 5 possible actions that we can take. The British forces will be determined by, and actions will be determined by die rolls, as we're going to follow the instructions as to what happens. And there's a number of instructions on their palette that result in automatic retreat for our forces and automatically switching the allegiance of Indian tribes. So it's a tough climb here. I just played a practice round and I lost an automatic victory to the British in I think the 17th or the 18th turn. So we'll see if we can do a little bit better here, but as with many of these travel solitaire games, there can be a tall climb to victory. Now, everything is set up here at the start of the war. We do have one thing left to do, which is to place our 2 armies here. And any region that we want, you can only have 1 per region. These will give us a +2 die roll modifier on the attack. Now the British have 2 armies as well at the start of the war. They're going to get a 3rd army on turn 10. That's a +2 die roll modifier. One of their armies has to start in the Hudson region. The other one is in a region of our choice after we place our armies. Now we're going to try, this time I'm going to try to push down here in the Mohawk region and see if we can make some good ground here in the first year of the war. We can switch these armies at the beginning of each year. So for the moment though, we're going to try to be active in the Mohawk region, see if we can push down to Philadelphia. Likewise, we're going to try to be active in the Ohio region and see if we can attack and push back down into Alexandria. We're going to concede ground here in the east and see if we can make it up later. So with that being said, the next question is, where do we place the British die roll modifier? I think we are going to put them, let's just put them over here in the Atlantic to get them out of the way of the Ohio and the Mohawk region. So that's the beginning setup, the startup for us. It's time for us to go to turn 1. With that in mind, we have 3 action points that we can take in this first year of 1755. Let's get started. Now, there are a number of die roll modifiers in this game, so I'll walk through them as we are playing them. In my first game, though, I did get a little bit confused by them because some of them are attack modifiers, some of them are defense. So I just printed out a little helpful, handy aid sheet here that talks about which die roll modifiers work for which side. So I think I'll get them straight as we go through the game this time. But back into action we go. Let's start up here in Oswego and attack in the Mohawk region, see if we can attack the British here in Oneida. Now, We've got a +2 die roll modifier on the offensive. Because this is a fortified town, however, the defense has a -1 die roll modifier. There is no reduced militia, and there are no Indian influences or Navy influences involved with this. So it's just a +1 die roll modifier for us. Now that's good, because normally an attack needs a 4, 5, or 6 to be successful, which means we only need a 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 to be successful. 1 die rolls, if you roll a 1, there's no modification. It's an automatic failure on an attack. Let's get off to a good start here. We do. We get off to a 4, push them down to Wyoming, and we take the fort here of Oneida. Let's continue on now with our next roll. We're going to keep pressing. Let's just keep going. Same thing. We're going to drive through the Mohawk region here with our second action. We get a 2. This is even a better attack. It's just a straight up +2 die roll modifier for us. We push them all the way back down to Philadelphia, which is excellent for us. Let's keep rolling with our third and final action. Let's see if we can march right into Philadelphia on the first year. So Philadelphia is a -2 die roll modifier because it's a flagged town. We, however, have a +2 die roll modifier, so +2 -2 means it negates it, which means we need a 3, 4, 5, or 6 to march into Philadelphia for some cheesesteak subs. Oh, we get a 5, and we are there. Now, when we take Philadelphia here, the British forces just get pushed outside of it. They, however, are still active and can counterattack. But a very good and successful first part of 1755 for us. Now we are going to go to the British activity. I will roll the die and then read the result and see what they get. They get a 6, and that's actually not good because 4, 5, and 6 means they have 2 actions. 4, 5, and 6 is they are active on the odd turns as well. And 6, I think, is the worst roll we can get. So, 6, militia. In regions where the Indians are allies of the British, flip any full-strength French militia to its reduced side. Well, that's actually good because at the beginning of the war, none of these regions are British allied, so our militia is fine, which is good. Now, on odd turns, this is what this is, it's turn 1, it also says, attack adjacent French markers in all regions. Also, attack the Atlantic control marker if French. So the British are going to come back with 3 straight attacks here. Let's do them from left to right. So we'll start in the Ohio region. We are in a fort, so it's a -1 die roll modifier. Now, we are allied with the Indians here, which is another -1 die roll modifier. So we get -2 here on the defense. There are no positive die roll modifiers for the British, so they are going to subtract 2 from their die roll, and they will need a 5 or a 6 to be successful. They get a 4, -2 is 2. They fail in the Ohio region. We have repulsed them. See if we can hold them out of Philadelphia here. The Indians are neutral. A flagged town is -2. There are no positive British die roll modifiers down here, so it's just a -2. So once again, they will need a 5 or a 6 to push us out of Philadelphia. We are eating our cheesesteaks. Let's continue to have our lunch. Ow, balls. They get it. So we're pushed back to Wyoming, and Philadelphia is retaken by the British. Up here, however, the British have a pretty distinct better chance here. The Hudson is a fortified, so it's -1. They have an attack army here of +1. However, we are allied with the Native Americans, with the Indians, so we get -2 to +1. So it is a -1 die roll modifier, which means they need a 4, 5, or 6 to be successful. They push us all the way back here to Fort Frederick, and they drive north. Okay, and they also attack in the Atlantic, where we are at a distinct disadvantage. They have Navy control, so there's no defensive modifier for us. +1 because of their army. Acadia is a regular town, which means it's just +1. So they need a 2 or above to succeed. Oh, yes! Arcadians hold against insurmountable odds. So we lost 2 zones and picked up 3 in that first turn. Not the best results, but let's go to the second part of 1755 here. Once again, we get 3 actions, and let's get Philadelphia back. We're just going to go right for it. I think we need to push southward here and take this city while our strong army is there. So it's a -2 +2, which means that we just need a 3, 4, 5, or 6 to be successful. Oh, we just get it. We get a 3. Philadelphia is ours once again. Let's go to our second action in this second turn. And whatever shall we do? I think it makes sense to be active over here in the Ohio region where our army is and where we have allies, although that won't matter on the attack. We will attack Fort Ligonier. I'm sure I pronounced the butchered pronunciation on that one. +1 for us, and there's no British die roll modifiers. They have nothing. They're not in a flag town, a fortified town. They don't have Indian control, and there's no navy here. So we need a 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 to be successful. We get a 4. We push them back to Cumberland, and let's push them now. Let's go, keep going. Let's push them all the way down to Alexandria. Ah, we get a 1, which means we fail. That's a bummer. So our third and final action in 1755 fails. Let's see now what happens with the British. They get a 3. Ah, that's another bad roll for us because that means they have 2 actions. A 1, 2, and 3 means they do an action on an even turn as well. So on turn 3, Indian raids in regions where the Indians are allies of the British. Retreat the French markers in those regions 1 town. Once again, our Indian allies here are holding ground for us, so nowhere do we have to retreat ground. That's excellent. On even turns, however, which this is, British Indian agents in regions where Indians are neutral or allies of the French move the Indian marker to the British allies. So we lose all our allies in all 3 areas. This is what I really struggled with in the first playthrough that I did. It was really hard to keep control, to keep allied with the Native Americans. The British seem to constantly steal it, and that creates all kinds of problems. Okay, anyway, we'll deal with it. Third turn here, we have 3 actions. They're going to get a -1 die roll modifier with control of the Indian. And lots of bad things happen, I learned in the first game, if I didn't aggressively try to regain friendship with the Indians here. So let's try it. We're going to try to regain friends with the Ohio region Indians. We need a 4, 5, or 6. I rolled terribly in the last game when I did this. I'm hoping that I have better negotiators and better ambassadors here. We get a 3. We fail on the first one. It's still a good action. We're going to do it again. A 3. We fail on the second one, and a 1. Ah, that's terrible. So we don't regain any friendships with and we burn through our entire turn of actions. Okay, let's go to the British now, see what happens with them. We get a 1, so that's good because it's only 1 action. On all turns, William Johnson, move the Hudson Indian Regent marker to British allies, that's okay, and attack French markers in the Hudson region. Okay, so they're going to attack us up here, which is pretty strong actually. We are -1 because we're in the fort. They are +1 because of their militia. Their army is here. The allies only help them on defense. There are no other modifiers here. So it's +1, -1 means that they need a 3, 4, 5, or 6 to push us back. They get a 6. They push us all the way back to Montreal. A little bit of trouble up here in the Hudson region. I found this region in the first playthrough to be very tough to control. And that was our good 3 turns because now we go to 1756 and we go down to 2 action points per turn as we're starting in this second year. But we do get to do one important thing before that happens, which is we get to reposition our armies. So let's think about what we want to do. Let's take our army here from the Mohawk region and push it up into the Hudson region and see if we can make a big push southward here. Because the armies don't help on defense, so we want to put them where we want to attack. Likewise, let's keep the +1 in the Ohio region to keep up some pressure there if we can. So I think our game plan will be to try to get allied. Unfortunately, I think it's disastrous if you lose friendships with the Native Americans, with the Indians, and we've got to get that back because all kinds of extra actions happen for the British if we can't stay friends with the Indians there. Unfortunately, you can lose it on 1 turn too, but let's go to turn 4. We have 2 actions. Let's first try to become friends with the Hudson region Indians. 5, yes. They go at least to neutral, which is fine for now. We'll just leave it there because that just negates the bonus for them. And then let's attack here. So it's +2. They're in a fort. -1. There are no other die roll modifiers here. Everything is fine. So we get a +1, which means we need a 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 to be successful. Why did I know that was going to be a 1? Oh, gosh. Come on, guys. Bonjour. Let's go. Let's go. Okay. So turn 4 for the British. Let's see what happens to them. They get a 4. Now this is an even turn, so that's good because only one action. Counterattack. Attack the two most advanced towns occupied by the French. If it's a tie, player choice. Okay, so the number one most one is here in Philadelphia, so we will do that first. Now the Indians are allied with the British, but that only helps on defense. We are in a city which is -2, and they have no modifier, so they need a 5 or a 6 to be successful here. They get a 1. Ha! Failure. Okay, so the second most advanced one, arguably both of these are 2 spots away from, we're 2 away from Boston and 2 away from Alexandria. Let's have them attack here first, because it doesn't really matter, I guess. I think they're both, we can counterattack better down here. Okay, so they have no die roll modifiers. We have no die roll modifiers because the Indians are on defense, the army's on defense, and there's no fort or anything else here. So it's just a 3, 4, 5, or 6 they need to succeed. They get a 3, it pushes us back to Fort Duquesne, and we're not making any progress in the Ohio region. Let's go to turn 5, however, and we get 2 actions. First up, let's attack here in the Hudson region, and we only need, because we get +2 against -1, we only need anything except a 1. So let's get a 5. Yes, I called it. Nice. So we push them out of Fort Frederick and push them down to Fort Carillon, and let's keep going since we have the momentum. Let's take our second action and push them back again. Oh man, that's the only die roll we would fail on, and we failed on 2 of those 3 attacks. That is just about, I think in these games, you need luck, and a little turn of luck like that can make a huge difference. We could easily be down here if we hadn't rolled a 1 in those 3 rolls, and that would be different. We'd be knocking on the doorstep of New York. Okay, let's see what happens to the British in turn 5. They get a 3, which is good because that means their even action turn won't happen. All turns. Okay, Indian raids. In regions where the Indians are allies of the British, retreat the French markers 1 in those regions. This is where that allied thing really hurts, because it's an automatic success. They push us back and they take Fort Duquesne. They push us back out of Philadelphia and they take Philadelphia. Maybe should have focused on those regions to try to get them to be friends. I think that's what we're going to do this turn, apparently. Let's try, but that's it. And that was their only action, because this is an odd turn, so they don't get the even action. We go now to the end of 1756, and we get 2 actions. Let's try to become friends here in the Ohio region. We need a 4, 5, or 6. Yes, excellent. So we move towards neutral. And because it's so bad for us to, actually, let's drive on here. This is a chance. Let's get the Hudson Militia going. They can't fail 3 out of 4. Ooh, not a very promising attack, but it is a successful attack nonetheless. Our die roll modifiers get that. So +2 -1 is a +1. That gives us a 3, which is successful. Okay, so we are done with turn 6 for the French. Let's go to the British now. Oh man, they get that 3 again. Okay, in regions where the Indians are allies of the British, retreat the French markers 1 spot. So up here, they retreat. They take this Presque Isle. They're pushing us all the way back out here. These regions, oh wait, sorry. That's my bad. We are neutral here. They're allied here. They push us way back. All that work in getting to Philadelphia, and we've lost it because we lost the Indian allies here. Okay, this is an even turn, and so they get the second part of this as well, which is in regions where Indians are neutral or allies of the French, move the Indian marker to the British allies. Oh, all that work, and it's gone. That 3 die roll is a killer. Okay, we go to turn 7. We get 2 action points, and we can reposition our armies because it is the start of 1757. I think I'm good where they are. The Hudson, Mohawk, and Ohio regions are all pretty much the same thing at this point. I mean, we're just a little bit farther away from, Ohio region would be nice to push forward in. But we do need to regain our allies with the Native Americans. We just seem to lose them so quickly, though. They're so fickle. All right, let's actually switch this. We're going to switch our active army here and here. So we're going to put the +1 down in the Hudson region and see if we can push hard in the Ohio region to capture Alexandria. And with that, let's do our 2 actions. So let's see if we can shift the Native Americans on a 4, 5, or 6. All right, good. They are neutral. That's good. And I think so many bad things have happened. I'm going to just take one more turn here. We're going to try to shift the Mohawk region as well. We get a 6. Nice. So both of those shift to neutral. Doesn't really get us progress, but it stops these devastating British rolls here. Let's see what happens for the British. Oh my gosh, they get the 3 again. Okay, at least this time it's an even turn. So in all regions where the Indians are allies of the British, retreat the French markers in those regions 1 town. So again, it's an automatic defeat here. We get pushed back. British take Fort Carillon. The other 2 places, thankfully, because we did spend time negotiating with the Native Americans, they actually end up being neutral and don't move. Now this is an odd turn, so the even marker, even element doesn't hurt us. And that takes us now to turn 8. We have 2 actions. Let's attack over here in the Ohio region. This is a fort, but we have the +2. So we just need a 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. We get a 3. We push them back to Ligonier. And then let's try to go for Cumberland. Let's push them out towards Cumberland. Same, we're going to attack down here. 5. We push them towards Cumberland. Okay, making progress in the Ohio region. Now we go to the British turn. Let's see what happens for them. They get a 1. Okay, so all turns. William Johnson, move the Hudson Indian region marker to British allies and attack French markers in the Hudson region. Ooh, okay, so they get a +1 because their army's here. We are in a fort, so it's -1. Those are the only die roll modifiers that apply, which means they need a 3, 4, 5, or 6 to be successful. Let's hold! Oh, they push us back to Montreal, take Fort Frederick, looking grim for getting control of New York. That was their first part of this action. Let's go to the second part. Because it was an even turn, it applies. Frontier land claims. Attack the French markers in the Ohio and Mohawk regions. So they're going to attack us here. Here there is no die roll modifier. Oh, -1 for us. So they need a 4, 5, or 6 to be successful. They get a 3. They fail in the Mohawk region. Let's go to the Ohio region. They need... We have no negative die roll modifiers. They have no positives. They need a 3, 4, 5, or 6 to push us back. Yes, they get a 1. Wimpy British, no success for them here. Let's go to turn 9 now. We get 2 actions at the end of 1757. I feel like there's so many die rolls that seem to flip these Hudson Indians to the British side that I'm not sure it's worth it over there. Let's instead attack in Ohio. Let's see if we can get Alexandria at the end of 1757. Give our side a dramatic victory. Cumberland is a regular town. We have our +2. They have no defensive modifiers there. Let's just kick butt. Get a 4. Push them back to Alexandria. Let's go. French marching into Alexandria. It is a -2, +2. So those cancel each other out. We need a 3, 4, 5, or 6 to take Alexandria. Oh, we failed. Okay. So close there. That would have been so nice to get that one. British action at the end of turn 9. They get a 5, and this is not good. British regulars. Any region where British armies are present, attack adjacent French markers. They are present up here in the Hudson region. We have Montreal, so it's -2, and we have +1 for them, so it's -1 on the die roll. They need a 4, 5, or 6 to take Montreal. And they get it. Ruh-roh. That's problematic. The other one here is they have armed forces in the relatively quiet Atlantic region. We're in a regular town. They have a +1 die roll modifier. Control of the ocean is a defensive modifier. So they need a 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 to push us out. And they easily push us out, push us back to Louisburg, and they take Acadia here. So we've lost one of our towns. If we lose another one, we have lost the entire war. But that finishes turn 9, and now we go to turn 10, and they get an active army. We're going to put it in a spot where we choose where it goes, where there isn't currently an army. So Ohio or Mohawk regions. I don't know if it really matters too much. They're a little bit identical, I think. So we'll put it down here in Alexandria just because we're closest to taking that town. So we've dropped that there, and now we go to our turn. In 1758, we get 2 actions. Let's see if we can take... Oh, it's a new year. We can actually shift our armed forces here, too. I like them where they are, actually. You know, no, actually, let's do one thing. Let's switch the +1 army with the +2 army, and then we can make a big push in the Hudson region. But first, let's see if we can take Alexandria. We need, it's +1 -2, so we need a 4, 5, or 6, and we will take Alexandria. Actually, so we don't lose, let's go up here first. Sorry, I'm waffling around here. We're gonna go +2, and this is a -2 because Montreal here is a flagged city. So it's +2 -2 means that we need a 3, 4, 5, or 6 to be successful. Oh, they have allies with the Indians, so that's actually another -1. Let's see if we can get the Indians on our side. I feel like it's gonna completely mess us up. We fail. Let's try it again. We fail again. These Indians do not like us. We completely floundered turn 10. British actions. A 6, all turns. In regions where Indians are allies of the British, flip any full-strength French militia markers to its reduced side. So they're allies here, and that means we flip them. That means a -1 die roll modifier on the attack. So we're gonna have to spend a lot of energy to get this side being able to attack effectively. Now, on an odd turn, there would be other things, but this is not an odd turn, it is an even turn. And that brings us through turn 10, which is the halfway point in the war. We're not doing that well. We've lost Montreal. They've got control of the Indians here. I mean, we're somewhat new. I feel like we've gone nowhere here. I mean, I guess we're close to Alexandria. We've lost ground in the Atlantic. I feel like it's not really a stalemate, is it? I was gonna say it feels like a stalemate, but it's more like we're kind of gradually losing. Looking at the time here, actually, I can see this video has gone on over half an hour, and we've just got halfway through. So I'm gonna cut this up into 2 parts. I'll put a link to the second part as soon as it's ready. Thanks for watching, everybody.